Imagine this moment: a crowd is cheering, cameras are flashing, and then someone raises a weapon. In less than a second, everything changes. For the United States Secret Service, this is not chaos. It is the moment they have trained for their entire careers. If they succeed, nothing appears to happen. If they fail, history is rewritten. That reality was carved into the agency's identity in 1963. On the streets of Dallas, President John F. Kennedy rode through the city in an open-top car, his route published in newspapers. Surrounded by unsecured buildings and minimal protection. At the time, the Secret Service was a small, overstretched agency, tragically unprepared for the idea that the most powerful man in the world could be assassinated in broad daylight. In just a few seconds, shots were fired, an agent leapt toward the president. And it was already too late. Kennedy was dead. And with him died the old way of protecting a president. From that moment on, presidential protection stopped being about presence and became about prevention. The agency was reborn from the ashes of Dallas. It expanded, its budget grew, and training intensified. A new philosophy took hold: the real danger isn't the bullet, but the path that allows the bullet to exist. Securing a location was no longer a task for the hours before an event. It became a process that started days, weeks, sometimes even months ahead of time. Every single location was treated like a puzzle with one terrifying question at its center: how could someone kill the president here, if that question could be answered? The plan was changed until it could not. This shift marked the beginning of the modern Secret Service. Over time, this new approach became visible in every detail of presidential security. Agents stayed just inches from the president, constantly prepared to shield him with their own bodies. Heavily armed counter-assault teams, known as CAT teams, stood ready to move toward any threat while others focused on evacuating the president. Snipers took up positions in unseen locations, their eyes scanning for any sign of danger. Plainclothes agents blended into crowds, not just watching, but reading body language, searching for unusual behavior. For the one person whose intentions didn't match the scene, K-9 units sniffed for explosives. And at the center of it all was the presidential limousine, known as the Beast. It's not just a car, it's a moving fortress, a sealed environment designed to withstand bullets, blasts, and even chemical attacks. Yet, even with all these layers of protection, the idea of a perfect system remained an illusion. In 1981, as President Ronald Reagan exited a Washington, D.C. hotel, a man stepped out of the crowd and opened fire. In that split second of chaos, an agent instinctively threw himself in front of the president, absorbing the risk without a moment's hesitation. Reagan survived, not because the system was flawless, but because the human response was immediate and courageous. The attack exposed a harsh truth: sometimes, the greatest danger comes from someone who seemed completely insignificant, someone lost in the crowd. After that day, the way threats were evaluated changed forever. The Secret Service began to analyze thousands of letters, messages, and warnings that came in every year. They were no longer dismissed casually. Instead, they were categorized, studied, and cross-referenced, built on the chilling realization that assassins often reveal themselves long before they ever pull a trigger. The agency learned to look for the warning signs, the breadcrumbs of intent, believing that the path to an attack often starts with a single, disturbed thought. Then came September 11, 2001. This was the day that proved the threat was no longer just a lone individual with a grievance, but a coordinated, well-funded force capable of shaking an entire nation to its core. In the early hours of the attacks, there was confusion over how quickly and decisively the president should be moved. That hesitation, even if it was just for a few moments, would change everything. Emergency protocols were written from the ground up. From that point on, agents were given full, unilateral authority to act in a crisis, to move the president without waiting for approval or confirmation. The Secret Service had entered a new era, one where truly unimaginable scenarios had to be planned for. Today, the agency prepares for dangers that once belonged to the realm of science fiction. They are no longer just looking for a gunman in a crowd, they're planning for drone attacks, for 3D printed weapons that can bypass traditional security, for sophisticated chemical and biological agents, and even for the unthinkable possibility of betrayal from within their own ranks. The threats are constantly evolving, getting faster, stealthier, and more complex. But for the Secret Service, the core rule remains the same: zero failure. Every past mistake is a lesson etched into their training manuals. Every quiet day is a hard one. Victory. Because the greatest success in presidential protection is a day when absolutely nothing happens at all, a day where the world doesn't even notice they were there. It's a day when history is allowed to continue uninterrupted. Thanks for watching. If you found this look into the world of the Secret Service interesting, make sure to like and subscribe for more deep dives into the hidden systems that shape our world. See you next time.